Hey guys, it's August 25th, 2021. I'm Kimberly from Fat Quarter Shop, and I have a ton of cross stitch to show you. I have a lot of new things that are starting. I have lots of things that I finished, and we're going to kind of jump into Sunflower September. So I'm going to first start with all the trimmings, which is our brand new free sew along. And here is the piece. And I'm going to pop up real quick the dates that we have on that one. I think we forgot that. That's okay. So we're this is going to be the first week right here. And there's going to be a total of 5 or 6 weeks. So this is the tees that we have. I'm not going to lay it on the table because I'm afraid this fabric will come off. So this is going to be your first week. It's called All the Trimmings, and this one is great for a beginner because this one is a little bit easier. And also we're going to be doing this each year. Now we plan for this to be Christmas in July, but you can tell we're almost into September. So the way that we planned this one was we designed a quilt that has a free pattern and it comes out over 5 different dates. So then we based this on the quilt. So this will be the first release. I'm going to show you what you can purchase to go along with that. Now, of course, you can get all of this from your stash if you wanted to also. So right now, what you could do is download this, and you can kind of see it's going to be a row. You can kind of see the shading of it. And this is actually part 1. So when you start part 1, you want to make sure, because part 1 is row 2, that you leave a gap at the top for that piece, and we'll talk more about that when we get closer. And so this is the free supply list. Now each week starting September 7th through October 5th, on every Tuesday we're going to release part of it, and then on October 8th we're going to also release a finishing option for you. The stitch count is 92 by 120. So if you're using 14 count, it's going to finish at 6 5/8 by 8 5/8. And we stitched the model on black, chalkboard black 14 count, Ada by Witchell, and we stitched with the Weeks Dye Works. Now Priscilla did this finishing, and we have all of the information on what Priscilla finished it with on the pattern. So if you want to finish it exactly like Priscilla, everything's on there, including the fabric skew that they used, which is right here, which is a Priscilla's Pretty Plats. So I stitched mine on chalkboard black. Go ahead and download this, and it tells you the Weeks Dye Works thread or the DMC. And we have a thread pack for both. Now I'm going to stitch mine with the Weeks Dye Works. I would say the colors are pretty similar, but on this one, I'm going to do Weeks Dye Works since I already do a lot of stuff in DMC. And then we designed this really cute needle minder. So the needle minder is like a little mistletoe. And I like it because it's not too big, because I don't like when the needle minders get too big. And we actually designed these bags to go with this program. They're called Mad for Plaid bags, and they come in 3 colors: berry, olive, and charcoal. And we're going to keep these around. We think we're going to keep printing these because they've been super popular. And we actually loaded these closer to the time that the stitch along was going to start, but then we got really low, so we already reprinted more bags. So if we sell out between now and the time that the stitch along starts, we'll have more on September 15th. And you can actually stitch on these bags. So you could actually stitch like a little thing on that square. Now, a lot of you guys have been saying you don't like to stitch on black. So I'm going to offer an alternative, and I'm going to be honest on this one. We tried to match all kinds of fabrics like gray, white, navy. And the closest that we could get that would match the thread packs was Vintage Country Mocha. But I think if you stitch with that, I really don't think you're going to get the Christmas look. But I wanted to give that as an option just because I know that that's a question we will get. And we do kind of base our cross stitches around the quilt. So if our quilt has a dark background, our cross stitch is going to have a dark background. And we always kind of start with the quilt first because the quilt, we have to have a fabric to kind of go off of. So that is super exciting, and that is starting on September 7th. So if you want to just grab all your supplies now so that you're ready to stitch with me, and I will be stitching with Chalkboard Black and Weeks Dye Works, and I'll show my progress each week. But it is an easy stitch, which is really nice because sometimes we do things that get kind of complex, and so I wanted to offer something that was a little bit easier this time. So if you have any questions on all the trimmings, stitch along, let me know. I'm going to move all of this stuff out of the way. And then I'm going to show you what is starting. It kind of already started. But this is Cross Stitch University. So one of the questions that we got over the years is people wanted a beginner series. So we're starting a beginner series. It's called Cross Stitch University. And with this, it's going to be very beginner. So nothing complex. It's going to be very, very, very beginner. And our second video, our first video has already released, which is the supplies you need. Our second video is going to release next Monday, and it's going to be about how to read a cross stitch pattern. And just remember, if you're an experienced cross stitcher, I think you can learn, maybe a couple of things from it. So make sure to tune in to our channel next Monday for that video. And if you haven't already, subscribe to our videos. And if you click the little bell on the top right and then click all, then you'll get notified actually when it comes out. So we have a lot of options for this. We have a cute little Cross Stitch University bag. And this is the chart. This is a completely free chart. It's already available. So I've actually seen some of you guys have already stitched it, and that's okay. Like if you want to go ahead and stitch it, if you're an experienced stitcher, we do have some models we're going to show you in a little bit. After I show you the supplies, that will show it to you. It's not something we're going to cover during the course, but we had it done just in case you're an experienced stitcher and you want to see it a little bit different. So we've got the pattern. It is free, and it's already actually on our site, so you can print that out. The fabric that we're stitching on is lamb's wool by Witchell, and I always think that lamb's wool, which is the color, is a great one to start with because it's not too dark, it's not too light, it's easy to see the holes, and it's also very age friendly, meaning it can appeal to younger and older audiences. And Pat's favorite needle, size 26. We've got the Sweet Snip scissors. And I'm going to talk a little bit about each of these and why we picked them. And then the DMC thread pack. So you can buy the thread pack separately, or you can buy the bundle, and it's called a starter bundle. So in that bundle, you would get the thread, you wouldn't get the bag, you would get the scissors, and then Pat's size 26 needles. Now, if you have not tried these needles, they do look super expensive, but once you use them, you will love them. So I would suggest those needles for anyone. And you would get the fabric. And you would also get this, so your starter pack would have the pattern already printed. So if you want to get the starter pack, that's there. And then we have the bag that's extra. And I also have some other things that are available, but I'm going to show those to you after I show you the models. And everything just fits right in here. Now, the reason I picked these scissors is they're a lower price scissor. I usually use Omni Grid, but these are just as sharp, but they're a better price point. So we got all that super cute for you guys. And of course, in the videos, if you have any cross stitch questions that we don't cover, you can always ask. So this is 14 count lamb's wool, which of course I do everything in 14 count. I'm going to show you different models. We're not going to show how to stitch these in the Cross Stitch University because we felt that that just got too, too complex and not very beginner friendly. But I'm showing you how they look in case you want to stitch it on something more complicated. So this is 32 count linen. This is 28 count linen. These are all lamb's wool, by the way, and I'm going to explain the color differences. And this is 16 count Aida. Well, actually, I'm going to do this. So this is 14 count Aida lamb's wool, 16 count Aida lamb's wool. So you can see that's quite a bit of difference. Now we're going to zoom in a little bit. And the reason we didn't end up covering this as part of the Cross Stitch University is it just got too complicated. But the one thing I did want to point out is when you're stitching on 16 count, you can see how the thread covers more. And when you stitch on 14 count, the thread, you can see your stitches a little bit more. The reason I do not like stitching on 16 count, which I have been doing with the sampler of the months because I want it to fit in the frame, it is so much harder for me to stitch on 16 count. But if you want something smaller, it looks great. It's just not as fun for me to stitch. But it does look different because you can see the holes are a little bit smaller and you don't see the holes as much as you do with the 14 count. And then these right here are 28 count linen and 32 count linen. Now they look different, and it's because the base that they dye, the color, like the lamb's wool color, it just comes out differently. So your 32 count is lighter than your 28 count, and they're all called lamb's wool. They just come a little bit different. Even the 16 and the 14 looks slightly different. So just remember that even if you're buying like a different color of something from us, the different bases of the fabrics look a little bit different. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to have a finishing video on these. I'm going to kind of put these here and I'm going to show you some extra add-ons that we also did. So we reprinted the Bluebird needle minder because that was so popular back when we did our first cross stitch pattern, which was called Home Sweet Home, and it matches. So we remade that one. We also did a Cross Stitch University shirt, and we have sizes all the way from small to 3X. And then the things that we're going to be demoing in the Cross Stitch University that are different than what I've done in Stitchy Talk and other things is we're going to show an 8x8 Q-snap and how to use it. We're going to show how you put the fabric on, how to use it. The one thing I would suggest though is just buy the Q-snap brand. If you buy the off brands, I've had really bad luck with them and I got frustrated with them. So I will just tell you, if you're going to buy something, please buy the Q-snap for better results. We're going to show how to use the cross stitch line keepers in that video, and we're also going to show when you start how to use the cross stitch key. So we'll be covering different things that we haven't covered in other videos. And then now I'm going to answer all the questions. Do you have any pattern suggestions for Lori Holt for Pebble Lugana? Gosh, I don't know. She's in the chat probably, so why don't we let Lori answer that one. Kathy said she's allergic to wool but was wondering if lamb's wool is different. Okay, so the first answer to that is lamb's wool is actually 100% cotton. Lamb's wool is just the color name, so it's not wool. I'm a lefty and Kimberly is right-handed. Will that make learning the stitches more difficult? No, I don't think so. You would just, if I'm holding my Q-snap with my right hand, you would just hold it with your left and just follow the stitches. We have left-handed stitchers here and they stitch just fine. Who is the manufacturer of my sewing room chairs? I don't actually know. I do know they're discontinued. I bought them at a local store called So Much More, and I know they're discontinued now because at one point I asked them and I can't remember. How about white? Would that work? I don't think white would look that great for Cross Stitch University because I think your door would get lost, but for all the trimmings, I think it would look horrible. So I would say absolutely no. How is Piggy? Oh, my dog Piggy, he's great. He's doing great. What about white opalescent? So for the Christmas design, it's not gonna look good on light fabric. It's not gonna look good. When does Cross Stitch University start? So we have already launched the supply video. Next Monday, we will release a video on how to read a cross stitch pattern. What is everyone stitching on? Yeah, everybody comment and let us know what you're stitching on. Could you design something that clips to the Halo Go to hold the pattern while stitching? We do have some different pattern holders that we are working with a designer on, but it's not going to hold the light. Are the Cross Stitch Universities pre-recorded? Will I be in the chat comments to answer questions? The Cross Stitch University videos are pre-recorded. They're going to launch as a regular video. If you ask a question in the comment section, we will answer. But I'm not going to watch it live because it's not going to debut as a premiere video. How is the one next to you finished? So this one is finished. We're going to have a video on that at the very end of our program. This is a flat fold. And I'll show it to you on the upper camera, and our video on that will release November 1st. So we used cording, and we used sticky board for here and here and here, and we've already recorded that video, but we will release it in November. And then this is just a piece of fabric, and we used a basic Riley Blake fabric for this, so that we would have plenty in stock. So we'll have more information on that later. Since it's a beginner video, we don't want to release too much early. How am I able to use the halo lamp in the car since it needs to be plugged in? Well, the plug will fit in my car charger. So actually, and I have two car chargers, or two chargers, or whatever you call that. So one is to my phone and one is to the light, and the light stays in my car. The person who helped me get stuff out of my car can testify that the light stays in there because I use it all the time. What's the difference between linen and Jobelin? So it's the blend of fabric that it's printed on. So linen is 100% linen, and Jobelin is a mix of cotton and linen, cotton and rayon. And neither one of them are even weave, so they both have that texture. So if you have more questions, just let me know. I wanted to remind you that Sunflower September is starting, and so my first start on that is going to be next week. And so with Sunflower September, what I decided is I'm still going to stitch all the normal stuff that I stitch, but I'm just going to add to my rotation some sunflower different designs by Stitching with the Housewives, because they came out with those and I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta make them. So I'm gonna do them throughout September, and I'm just gonna show you. Now, we did a video. It is FlossTube number 126 on this channel, which would have been 4 weeks ago. So if you want to see what I'm going to be doing through September, watch that. And of course, next week I will show you, like my first week, I will also show you how I have everything in my bags and how I have everything planned. So that will be coming out, and our next thing that I've been working on, we'll move to like my whips and all the things I've been working on, and we're going to talk about Stitch-O-Graphy. So this is my Stitch-O-Graphy. This is a low price PDF that you can purchase, and it's available now. Now what we did is we divided it by date. So I'm going to pop up those dates real quick and show you. And we're on, let's see, we just finished week 2. We're moving to week 3. And these are just little placeholders. You don't have to follow them. They're not on the pattern or anything. And I am stitching on 14 count white opalescent by Zweigart. So I stitched part 2. Now I finished stitching at my boys' basketball, and because I didn't have anything else, I just kind of started adding. So I added a color key because I already had that navy out. So this week is kind of over here, and I'm probably going to start, oh, and I did the star extra. I'll probably do a little bit extra just so that during Sunflower September I have a little bit of room to breathe. And so the chart has this is the paid pattern, and this is a wooden spool that we sell, and we're getting low on it, but if we sell out, we're going to have more in 2 weeks. I will say stitching on the opalescent, it hasn't given me any trouble. It just bends my needle. So I can still go just as fast, but I guess because it's a little bit thicker than I'm used to, because of the little opalescent pieces, my needles have been bending, but that's okay. I don't like to stitch on a white because to me it's just too boring. So this is week 2. Now next week I will show you week 3. These are taking me about 3 hours each, and I think it's taking kind of a while. I was thinking it would take about 2, but it's taking about 3, and I think it's because there's so many color changes. But I did want to let you know so that you have this to look forward to. Next Tuesday, tune into our channel because there's going to be a video of me stitching this at home, and it's going to be a time-lapse video and it took me exactly 4 hours to stitch this. And what you're going to see there is I don't always start in the top left. Sometimes I start in the center, and you'll see Piggy in the video. Now this pattern you can only get if you buy our Cosmo thread pack. The Cosmo thread pack goes with the other pattern that you buy separately. This is just a freebie, and we'll just keep that as a thread pack ongoing. And then Mystery Bats and Boos has wrapped up, and that one I have loved all the feedback that we've gotten on that. So this is a free cross stitch series. It is a 4-part series, but now it is all out. So now it is just a finished pattern. So if you download this free pattern and you download the border, you have everything. And so with this is our finished piece. Now, Priscilla Blaine of the Real Housewives of Cross Stitch finished this. And on our pattern, which is free, everything that she did is right here. Now, this is stitched on 14 count Icelandic gray. Terry stitched it, and she used Weeks Dye Works. And again, Priscilla Blaine finished it. Now, we also released this week a video on how to put this on a pillow. So if you wanted to finish this onto a pillow, just watch that video. And we just used the same fabric we used in our quilting, which is the Holiday Essentials by Moda. We added that to the outside, and then we used Stitch Witchery to seal it down around the edge. So if you're somebody who wants to finish it and use it on your couch, and this is just a plain orange pillow cover that we have linked to on Amazon, and then you just insert your pillow. So those are the 2 finishings that we have. And then I wanted to show you Christina's progress since she stitched along with us. And we'll zoom in a little bit, but I just wanted to point out that when you use one of these fabrics, they have the printing on them. But when you stitch on them, you lose a little bit of the design. So if you want to kind of keep that as part of your design, when you finish it, if you leave a little bit of a border on there, you're going to keep part of the design. If not, it's just going to look more, so like if you pull this down, if you don't, that's just going to be kind of buried in your design, which is okay. I just kind of wanted to point that out. So this is Mystery Bats and Boos. And so completely free from Fat Quarter Shop to you guys for being great customers. And we will, both on all the trimmings and Bats and Boos, we will do that in 2022 also. So you can look forward to lots of free stuff coming from us. We do, on these, start with our quilt design. And that is usually inspired by the fabric we have to choose from. And then our cross-stitch design follows. So they're all very matchy-matchy, but we have lots of customers that only cross-stitch or only quilt, and they're only doing one of them, and that's okay too. So that's Bats and Boos. The next item I worked on is called Stationery Addict, and this is a Little Dove Designs pattern, and I'm using the Fabric Flare Pale Gray Gingham in 14 count. And I will say I'm struggling with this one. This is one that I love the way it looks, but if I had started this and I didn't have the FlossTube channel, I might have given up. And I think the reason why is it's just so different than anything I've stitched or anything I'm used to stitching, because right now I usually stitch, you know, the It's-So-Emma patterns, the Lori Holt patterns, the Priscilla and Chelsea Stitching with the Housewives patterns. And those don't have as small of pieces, and they also don't have thread changes as much. And they also don't have back stitches. So I have been doing the back stitching as I've gone, but there are just so many color changes. It's like start, stop, start, stop, start, stop, ton of back stitches. So we're going to zoom in a little bit and I'll show you kind of the way I've been tackling my back stitches and stuff. So here I've been doing these as, and there's actually, yeah, I've been doing this as like individual stitches and then my little French knot. Actually, I did a colonial knot. And I did the tack as 3 individual stitches. But then here, when you have to go from one angle to another that's not a direct, I've just been doing a long stitch. And so I did that here also. And I did only 1 thread. Now, I was thinking on this chalk, well, I guess it's not a chalkboard, but this little board, I was thinking it would probably look better with 2 strands. But I did it with 2 strands and it just did not look good. So I went back to 1 strand. And then here, the pattern calls for you to go from this stitch, like from like here to here as a long stitch. But I decided, I actually stitched it and I thought it looked ugly. And the reason why is there was a lot of white poking through. So I just did an outline. So I'm kind of changing it a little bit as I go. Now I know that when I'm done with this, I'm going to love it. But it's just more of, I don't have the patience. And here, there are lines on these notebooks. And I did them as individual stitches. And I only did 1 strand. I think you were supposed to do 2, but I wanted it to be a little bit more subtle. So I do like the piece, but I will be honest and say I don't enjoy stitching it. And I think it's because I'm just not used to it. So if you have any questions on how I did any of these stitches, just let me know. The next thing I worked on was Kaleidoscope, and I finished this like a week ago, so I almost kind of forgot what it looks like. So this is the Kaleidoscope cross stitch from the Kaleidoscope book by Lori Holt, and this one just uses 3 colors, and I, unlike the other one I just showed you, loved stitching this. It was very addicting, and I'm very excited that this week I got a lot of finishes because I finished Peppermint Lane, which I'm going to show you next. I finished August Sampler of the Month, which I'm going to show you next, and I finished this one. So I have 3 things to take to the framer. So I would love for you guys, I did get some comments. Most of the comments last week were to use a red frame. So let me know what you think. I was kind of thinking a white frame, but I'm not sure. And on this one, I usually leave about 3/4 of an inch of the fabric showing. But on this one, I was thinking I would do just slightly more. And then if I did a red frame so that it would kind of offset. So I'm gonna go to the framer on Saturday. And it's exciting to be able to take a lot. Usually when I go, I have something to pick up. So maybe something will be done when I go. I doubt it, but and Lori finished hers. We'll show you hers next week. She's been out of town, and so she has not had Wi-Fi, so she could not send or receive pictures on her phone. So I haven't even seen it, but I'll see it later today, and we'll make sure we show that next week. And I did give my DMC colors in a previous week, and I did use her little thread keeper, floss keeper, to use it. And I didn't have very much thread left over, so that's good. It was very little waste because it really only used 5 skeins. So, And this one is also that opalescent fabric. Now we did sell out of this, but we're going to have more online later today. And here's the back. So it does feel good when you have, like, I do feel like sometimes when I'm doing the FlossTube that things can become, you know, tedious or just the same old, but when you finish a week and you have like 3 finishes, it feels so good because it's like all that, like, little bit, it all kind of adds up. And of course I will iron this out. I didn't iron it out before. The next one is Peppermint Lane, and I'm all finished. So this one was a quilt that we designed years ago, probably 5 or 6 years ago, and it was a Bonnie and Camille Moda fabric, and we reprinted it into a quilt book after, because it originally was free, then it went into a quilt book, and now it's a cross stitch. And on this one, I know I've talked about it, but I accidentally put red here, and that was an accident, but I didn't even know until you guys commented, and so then I realized that it was an accident, but I left it, and I think it looks good. But I think I'm going to frame it very similar. I do think I'm going to use a white frame. I was thinking about maybe adding a little like, it's the little frame thing, like a little red mat. I was thinking about maybe putting a little mat so that there's a separation, because I'm not sure, but I'm excited that I'm going to the Framer Saturday, and I'm hoping the person that was there previously is there so he can help me. But I did want to show you, this is 14 count white opalescent. This one was stitched on 16 count white. And so it is a little bit different. Well, actually I'm going to do this so you can see. So you can see this is 16 count. So mine is bigger because mine is 14 count. So if you put it right next, you can see how much, oh, it is much bigger. Well, I didn't expect it to be that much bigger. So mine is a lot bigger than Cheryl's. We use the same floss. We use different fabrics. So my fabric is shinier, and she did the border correctly. And so you can see it's supposed to be the light pink and the dark pink. So when you're doing yours, you can, you know, kind of figure out what you think looks best. Mine's a little bit stronger and a little bit bigger. I didn't expect it to be that much bigger, but like I said, on 16 count, I just really don't enjoy doing the stitching. I feel like the coverage is just a little too much. And then the last thing I finished, and I will answer questions right after this, I just wanted to kind of show all my stitching because I'm so excited. I feel so accomplished this week. This one is the Country Cottage Needleworks Sampler of the Month. And so this is August. I'll talk about the different things that I did that were a little bit different than her pattern. Now I am using the called for fabric, which is 16 count Beautiful Beige by Witchell. And all of the designs have the 3 sections at the top, the 3 sections at the bottom, and the house. So that is the consistency throughout. They do have, I guess, window lines, and I've left that off on all of them. And the reason why is I just couldn't get it to look good. I haven't changed the thread color in any of the patterns except for on these back stitches. So this, I think these are supposed to be seashells, and it's supposed to be, if we zoom in a little bit, they're supposed to be that dark brown, this thread, but what I did is on the white I put pink, and on the pink I put white, and so you can barely see it, but I thought it looked better. And on the little legs, the legs are supposed to be actually in the center, but because I was using Ada, I just put the legs in the front so I wouldn't have to kind of put a little hole in the center where there isn't a hole. And so I'm going to take this to get it framed. Now September, I'm going to do in September. October, she actually showed a picture of it, and it should be shipping to anyone who is in our club soon, and it looks really nice. So I saw that on her Facebook. So now I'm going to kind of answer questions and all of that. I know that was a lot, but I do feel like I get so excited to show you what I've done that sometimes I just kind of go a little fast. Piggy wanted to say thank you to Valeria Bauer. She always sends us a super chat. I don't think my Wednesdays would be the same without Valeria. And thank you to Wendy Hansen for her super chat. And thank you to Kathy Longo. She says, thank you so much, Kimberly and FQS, for sharing your creative ideas and wonderful projects. You are an inspiration. Thank you. And thank you to Sally Johnson. She says, your music and your videos for Bats and Booze was so cute. The pillow turned out awesome. Love, FQS. Well, thank you. And you know, I will say that we got so many comments on the music that I was like, we should do different music in every video so we can get this many comments. I thought it was awesome. So thank you to Jordan who did that awesome music. Casey Walters said, I love FlossTube Wednesdays. I look forward to this every week. I absolutely love all things Fat Quarter Shop. Well, thank you. And Holly Martin, she said, I love the matching cross stitch and quilt patterns. Thanks for sharing so much of your time and knowledge. Well, thank you. And thank you for watching. I still can't believe that you guys watch. And so now I'm going to answer, I still have more, but I'm going to answer questions kind of all at once. If you have a question, just throw it in so I can answer. Gail is asking about any word on the frames. And so she sent us 25 frames. So they sold out the same day. We ordered more, but she has not answered on when we're going to get more. So I have ordered them. We'll just cross our fingers. And we are going to have a giveaway at the end of the video, so you'll want to stay tuned for that. Angela said she received Stationery Addict as a giveaway from Stitch Roadies. Can you remind me why you decided not to do DMC? Okay, the reason is because the aqua in the DMC I didn't think it didn't match my home sewing studio. And Gentle Arts has the best aqua, so I really knew I wanted to use their Tutti Frutti, which is their aqua. And so that's kind of why I went with the Gentle Arts. Have I launched the cross stitch only newsletter? Yes, I have. And so it comes out on Tuesdays. So one came out yesterday. So if you have not, we can put a link to that, and we can actually put that in our Nightbot as a weekly sign up for our newsletter. That is on our newsletter page. So definitely sign up for that. Maria said, when you stitch on 16 count, do I use a different size needle? Yes, that's a great question. So when I stitch on 14 count, I use the size 26 Pat Carson needle. When I stitch on 16 count, I use the size 28 Bowen needle. And I don't know why the Pat Carson, I just couldn't get it to, I guess it wasn't like sharp enough. So I used the Bowen size 28, and that's just personal preference. And I was just having a hard time with the size 28. And so Cheryl said, oh, you should try a different brand. Laura Whitfield said, would the sew she did cross stitch fit on the wooden spool? No, that one is a much bigger piece and it goes the other direction. When will the Cross Stitch Starter University bundle ship? So if you pre-ordered it, it should ship, and we have them in stock. So there should be plenty in stock. We can check inventory, but those are in stock. Lori says, do I have any suggestions for other greens rather than the ones chosen for Cross Stitch University? More on the teal side. So on that, I mean, we picked the aquas. If you wanted a green, I would just pull the threads the other threads we called for and just look in your stash and try to find something. On the Bats and Booze, will I get more fabrics back in stock? No. If we have the fabric in stock, it will be in stock. If it's not, it's out of stock. So they basically have some of that fabric still in print and some is not. So if we basically in the mornings we reorder, and if it comes in, it comes in. If it doesn't, it's discontinued. But if you have a question on a specific SKU, you could call customer service at 1-866-826-2069. They can look and the system will either tell them reorderable yes or reorderable no, and that will tell them if we're getting more. Who or what inspired you to take up cross stitch? So I actually cross stitched when I was a child. A lady named Severine Lackey worked with my mom and she taught me. And she taught me when I was young, and I even did it a little bit when I was younger, and then I got into quilting. And then when I started Fat Quarter Shop, I always wanted to either bring cross stitch in or crochet in, one of the two. But you know, it took a lot of years to get Fat Quarter Shop off the ground, and I needed to be at a point where I had the time to devote to it. My kids are a little bit older now, so I also needed something to fill my time when I'm in the car waiting. So kind of all of the things kind of converge together, I think. Brenda Chauvin, I love all the FlossTube stitch-alongs. I'm visually impaired and just can't do even the 10 count. So I'm going to try 10 count. Would I love to, please, I would love to see patterns in a larger size. So if you go back to our beginning of our FlossTube, that's what I kind of started FlossTube on, is the 10 count. So lots of Lori Holt patterns fit on that, and a lot of the Little House Needlework smaller ones look really good on that 10 count. And if you're going to try 10 count, I would either use 4 strands or 6 strands, and I would use a size 26 needle. Erica, I really like Monaco for stitching, but curious what other options that are similar. I love the color and cotton material from the Spring Stitch Quarterly. Do they have 28 count? Yes, and we have some of the color and cotton 28 count online. For Monaco, I've actually never stitched on Monaco. We do sell the Monaco, but if you wanted something similar, Priscilla and Chelsea recommended Linda cloth, which we stocked because they recommended it, so we went ahead and ordered it. Kay said, will Lori's My Happy Place be a cross stitch pattern? Yes, it will be eventually. Do I have the string and scissors display at Fat Quarter Shop? So I think you're talking about that. No, that's probably from Hobby Lobby. We buy most of our decorations at Hobby Lobby because it's the closest thing to us. Is there a purple 14 count that would work for October calendar crates? I think maybe in the chat, you guys could help her out, and Priscilla and Chelsea might be in the chat to answer that. I am not that familiar with that many. And then we do have a question on one of the Classic Colorworks threads and when that will be back in stock. So we order that every day, and honestly, with any kind of hand-dyed floss or hand-dyed fabric, we don't have a day. When it shows up, it shows up. It's because they hand dye that. So the way that those manufacturers work is they have a dye list. And so we place our order. Once they dye it, we get a portion of what they made because each store only gets so much. So I can never give you an exact date or time because I don't know, and it depends on their dyeing schedule. What is a linen equivalent for 14 count Aida? It would be 28 count. So you would just take your Aida number and multiply it times 2. And usually manufacturers, all the different manufacturers will have the same color in both 14 and 28. But like I showed you with the Cross Stitch University, they may look a little bit different color-wise. Will the matching quill for all the trimmings be pieced or applique? Well, it will all be pieced because I don't teach, and I'm going to have some free videos on that on our quilting channel, and it's all pieced. I don't do applique. Oh, I mean, I know how to do it, but I don't do it well, and I never want to show something. I never want to be on YouTube showing something that I'm not really proficient at so that I don't mislead you in the wrong direction on how to do something. So now I'm going to kind of show you our club feature. Each week we show you a feature of a club, and this is our NPI color. So, ooh, I can take this one home. So I am actually in this club, and this actually is a great color. If you're already in our club and you get it, it would work great with Sunflower September. So those are some great sunflower colors. and it's got a great variation in it. And so I'm actually in this club, and you'll see, like, for example, on Granita, I'm going to be using one of my packs from the NPI club. You need more than one color on some of them, so I'll have to buy a little bit more, but I'm using that to do to use on Granita because the colors are already variegated enough. And NPI silk, I love it because it does not knot. Now, one thing I did want to say is every person who stitches gets knotting a little bit different. So there's some threads that I get no knots, but then Cheryl gets a ton of knots. So all of that depends on how you hold your thread, how you piece, that type of thing. But I love using NPI, and I'm going to start using it more and more because it glides for me and it doesn't knot, and I can save time. So if you have any questions on the NPI silk, let me know. It's really nice. And trucking along is going to be our previous finish feature. So I stitched this Priscilla and Chelsea Stitching with the Housewives pattern in September 2020. So here's the pattern. It's available both paper and PDF. And Priscilla finished it for me. So I did this in September 2020. If you want to know exactly how she finished it, it will be on her blog, which is priscillas2000.blogspot.com. And you will see that she did hers as two pieces. Well, her and Chelsea, because Chelsea stitched some of these and Priscilla stitched some. They did them as two. I combined the charts into one, and I added my little dog Piggy. Now this would be a great one to do just for Sunflower September, and just stitch right here the little truck with the sunflowers, and you could make that into a tiered tray tidbit. And of course, yeah, this is going to look really good for Sunflower September. And let's see. Now I'm going to show you our flash sale. The first one is Say You Have by With Thy Needle. And the second one is this magnifying lens by Gypsy Quilter. And what this does is if you're following a pattern and you want to be able to see a little detail on the pattern that you can't see otherwise, you could put that on top. And I wanted to let you guys know, we're going to start the What's New section, but while we're doing that, I wanted to let you know Needlework Expo is an online cross-stitch event that is happening this weekend. It's only for stores, and we have a link that we can put in there that you can click on, and you will see everything that we are buying. So if you see something that we don't have, just let us know. And sometimes we'll stock it, sometimes we won't. Sometimes we get suggestions that we know just won't sell, so we don't buy them, but we do try to buy most of what is suggested, not all, but most. And this is funny because I forgot this section last week. I don't know why, I just forgot. So this is the light that I use in my car. And I use this in my car all the time. The way that I do it is I plug it in and it plugs into my car. Now it will hold a battery 3 hours, and it folds like this, so it actually sits in the back of my car, in the back seat. And then if my kids sit in there, they just take it and pop it in the pocket that goes in the front of the seat. So my kids already know like where this goes, and this is what I use. And so this is called the Halo Go, and it has a magnifier. It's made by Daylight. And some people don't need the magnifier part, but we got these in, and I was asked to do a demo on this. Now I have not used this, and the reason I haven't used it is because honestly I probably won't, because I need the magnifier. So what this is called Foldy Space Go rechargeable lamp. It's made by the same company, and it's a new product, so I wanted to show it to you. It comes in this case, which that would be really nice if this came in the case. And it pops up, And it has the same light. It's just 2 versions. But, so it's the same thing. Let's see. See how this has 3 lights? This one only has 1, but this tells you how much, sorry. When you turn this on, this tells you how much charge you have. So it means that we've only got 1 light blinking, so it's just a little bit charged. The same thing here, so it's just a little bit charged. If all 3 were lit up, it would mean the same. Now it's the same light, so it's the same exact lighting, except this one rotates. So this one is great to sit in your car. So it's basically the same exact thing, except this is a magnifier and this is a light, but they give off the same exact light. It's the same exact company. Now they look a little bit different. So this one is circles with light coming out, and this one is just lights. This is all lights. All of this is dots. So I thought this would be great just to show. Same company. I'll stick with my Halo Go, but I do think this one is going to be great. And I was going to read you some of the things on it. So this is, let's see, this will move around. It is rechargeable, and the difference between this one is this is rechargeable for 8 hours. This one is only 3 hours. And this one, when you fold it up, it's 4, well, let's see, you can't really fold it up that way. You fold it up this way. Hold on. It ends up 4 by 6 by 12, so it's like 12 inches and then 6 inches. Or I think that's what it is up high when it's standing up. So just wanted to show you those. And then I'm going to show you some other new items. And if y'all have questions on the lights, I'm happy to answer them. I'm just always trying to show different things that might help you stitch. I wanted to let you know that Lori Holt's Stitchy Stars pattern, which we did so much stuff with and it was so popular, is now available as a PDF. So everyone who would like the PDF, it is now available. And the next couple of weeks, just so you know, our What's New section will be rather lengthy because we will start getting in all of the things from Needlework Expo. And so it will probably be really, really heavy with new stuff going forward. This is Pumpkin Pie. This is a Dapper Doodad that came out last Friday from Stitching with the Housewives. And this is today's. Oh my gosh, I love today's. And she did finish hers today on this piece. So if you watch her video, she'll tell you where, and I think it's also on the pattern. It tells you the item number is from Walmart. So if you want to finish it on this. And then these are just, these are some wooden beads, and these are the little, they come on stems from Michael's, and I think she just tore them off. So these are the first 2. Now, I'm going to have to incorporate all these pumpkin ones somehow into something I'm doing. And then Friday, she let us, well, Saturday, this was released on her channel. This is a new pattern called Silent Night. It will go really nicely with her pattern last year called And to All a Good Night. So I did stitch that one. I'll probably stitch this one in December. And so we're pre-selling this one. So if you're interested, this will ship sometime in September along with her next calendar crates. So if you're in our calendar crates club, that will ship. If you want this one, you can pre-order this one. So this has the church, the Santa, and then a little cow, a truck, a barn, and a house. So this is like the full, you know, like if you had everything all together on your property. So cute. And then we did get some email requests for some Twin Peak primitives. So we ordered these 3. Snowman 2021, Santa 2021, and Winter Birds. And so we haven't previously carried this company's charts. So depending on how they sell, if they sell really good, we'll keep carrying them, that kind of thing. So exciting to try a new vendor and hoping it will sell well. And then we also got a request to get these buttons. They're called Fright This Way, and they go with the Fright This Way pattern by Hands On Design. So we ordered the black and the purple buttons, or beads. They're called beads. I'm trying to figure out why they're called beads though. Okay, I guess they're called beads because they don't have holes in them. They're made like her clay buttons. Oh, okay, so your hole is right here. So it's a button, but it's a bead. It's both because, okay, so you put your hole through here and I guess that's how you attach it. But it's definitely not a bead. It's definitely substantial. So we got some requests for this. So to whoever requested this, we now have this. And then this, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to show you these. So these came yesterday. And I'm a sucker for bags. I do have quite the bag collection at home. In fact, we have a storage unit that is full of bags. And every time I take them, Kevin says, why do you have to bring these bags? Can't we just get rid of them? Can't we just donate them? And I think, no, I got to keep all my bags. So I am a sucker for all kinds of bags, big, small, totes, purses, wallets. I cannot tell you how many bags I have. So these came and they're super cute. And these are made by Moda. And what I have always liked about these is they're vinyl. So I actually have spilt tea 3 times in the last week, including on my carpet, almost on my cross stitch, and all over a quilt. So I know all about tea stains, but this would wipe right off. And I did find yesterday tea all over my wall, meaning I must have like thrown my tea to throw it away, and some of it went all over the wall. So these are 3 new ones. And I like these, but these colors are not really my colors. And these are called glam bags. So just search glam bag and you'll see these plus some previous ones they had. These are all kinds of my colors. So this is my favorite one. It says quilter. This one says, she believed she could, so she did. And this sewing mends the soul. And these are a great way to store DMC thread or scissors, or if you're traveling. So these are great. I'm going to buy all 3 of these actually. And, you know, thread fits perfectly. I did want to announce that we're going to have a giveaway. We're going to give away 5 Stationery Addict General Art thread packs. And to win, after the video is over, we're going to want you to comment and just give some tips on organizing. How do you organize your life? Do you have a special organization tip for your makeup? It doesn't have to be quilting. You know, how do you store your makeup? How do you organize your like bathroom stuff, your sewing stuff? So any kind of organization tip you have, because I know a lot of you guys read each other's comments. So if you have like a certain thing that you use to organize, I would love to see that. And then I'm going to read comments, and we do have one super chat that Piggy wants to thank you. It's from Seams Stitchy FlossTube. Thank you, Kimberly, for reigniting my love of cross stitch. I've enjoyed stitching with you. Thank you for all of your handwork and quilting and the wonderful business you've built for all of us. Well, thank you. I'll have to go check out your FlossTube. Seams Stitchy FlossTube. Okay, so now I have all the rest of the questions, and I'm going to answer all of them. Will I have a thread pack for Silent Night? Absolutely. It will be available later in September. So we just got the thread colors on Saturday and placed the order. So as soon, it's kind of that thing I just talked about. As soon as they hit her die lot and we get enough, we will make them. How do I clean my magnifier? Oh my goodness, I don't. But the way I clean my glasses is you could just use like a little spray. I get my glass cleaner on Amazon and these little spray things. So I would just use that. Okay, so I answered those 2. That's cool. Does that magnifier have a magnet, or does it just sit on top? It doesn't have a magnet. I've actually, on the Halo Go, I've actually tried to put a needle minder on it to see if it would stick, and it didn't work. Anne Marie said, will you carry stitching generations from Twin Peak Primitives? I have such a hard time saying that. I'm sorry. Twin Peak Primitives. Yes, we can order that today. Can I do a tutorial on how to attach buttons? Yes. So I filmed one. It's going to be coming out soon, and it is going to be, because I'm going to take that. Oh, I already took it to the framer, didn't I? No, I'm going to take that to my framer also, so that I can actually show it to you with my buttons on. So we filmed it, and I don't have anything fancy that I show. I honestly just, it's a very simple technique that I do. I don't do a super secure way because I'm going to put it in a frame. So we actually filmed this last week, and it will be coming out soon. I don't have the exact date off the top of my head, but I attach these, and you can see that they do wiggle. They wiggle. I mean, if you move them, they're going to wiggle. So, I mean, they kind of go back to where they were. So I don't do anything super fancy, but we are going to have a video on this channel showing how, and I basically copied Lori. So I took Lori's and just did very similar to what she did color-wise. Will I be getting more Christmas morning yardage? Oh, I wish I was. So let me tell you what's happening with fabric and why we're selling out of fabric more than normal. So the Christmas fabric that came out, that just released in August, was supposed to release in May. We ordered it last December, January. So because it was on the website pre-sold for so long, it sold out really fast. Now, Christmas morning, we do have layer cakes in stock, and we do have Jolly Bars in stock. So if you need that for all the trimmings, we do have those layer cakes. I'm afraid that once I say that on Friday, they will sell out. So if you're looking for all the trimmings, Christmas morning layer cake, just order it now. And now, yardage-wise, and what Moda does is they make the pre-cuts all at once. They don't remake them. And then what we do is piece by piece, when we sell out of any kind of bolt, we reorder it, and we either get it or we don't, which is fine. So some of the prints they might have, some of them they might not. So it's kind of one of those, some of them we'll have, some of them we won't. Will the flea market floss keeper be back in stock? No, that's the one that we did one and done. If you are a beginner, would you recommend the silk over DMC? No, I would not, because silk can be a little bit more ravelly. So I would definitely stick with DMC if you are a new stitcher. Holly Martin said, how do you decide which floss to use other than DMC to offer when you put together floss packs? So what we try to do there is what we think will look best. And in our patterns, we try to always list DMC because that is so easily accessible. But I don't want to stitch everything in DMC. So I kind of think selfishly about what would I enjoy stitching for the channel, because if I stitch it for the channel, I'm going to be excited about it. I'm going to have picked it. So we kind of just think about what we think looks best, but we do try to always offer the DMC because it is a lower price. I just personally don't want to stitch with DMC all the time. You'll see that we do try to mix up the vendors so that we're featuring different vendors all the time. And the reason that I like to do that is I want to have variety when I'm stitching. Like when I sit down to stitch, I want to have some type of variety. And because I tend to stick with the 14 count Aida, I don't have much of a fabric variety. So having that floss variety is really something I look forward to. And we do it based on what we think looks best, what I will enjoy, just what we think will look good. And thank you, Karen Meadows. She says she loves it all, so thank you. And then Esther said, when I do solid white cross stitch, it's my imperfections show. I normally use DMC when any other threads be better for hiding those, like silk. So I have found personally that any of my white stitching, it doesn't matter what brand I use, all white stitches show imperfections. So when I'm stitching with white, I do the railroad stitch that helps me the most, and I stop and untwist my threads as much as possible. So thank you guys for watching. I loved answering all of your questions. I loved showing you all of my pieces. And to enter the giveaway, just give us some type of organization tip. It could be a thread tip, a fabric tip, any kind of organization tip. And I will see you guys next Monday. And remember, we have a video releasing next Monday, Tuesday, and I'll be here next Wednesday. So see you then.